Imagine having a great idea for a mobile app, but you have absolutely no idea how to write code. In 2016, a startup called Builder.ai offered a compelling solution. They promised to democratize software creation, making the development of a custom app as easy as ordering a pizza, all through a conversational AI assistant named Natasha. You would simply chat with Natasha, who acted as an autonomous product manager. You described what you wanted, and the system would autonomously generate 80% of your custom code in under an hour. Investors loved this pitch. Builder.ai raised hundreds of millions of dollars from major players like the Qatar Investment Authority and SoftBank, rocketing to a $1.5 billion valuation. The ultimate validation came in May 2023, when Microsoft stepped in with a massive strategic investment. They announced plans to integrate Natasha directly into Microsoft Teams, exposing this AI assistant to millions of enterprise users worldwide. 2 years later, the company disintegrated. By May 2025, creditors had seized Builder.ai's bank accounts. The FBI was serving subpoenas to former executives, and small business clients found themselves permanently locked out of the software they had paid for. The startup collapsed under the weight of two massive, interconnected lies that successfully fooled some of the smartest investors in the world. To understand the failure, we have to look at how Builder.ai actually operated. Publicly, they were a cutting-edge tech firm headquartered in London, pioneering low-code automation. In reality, Natasha was largely a facade. Client requests typed into the chatbot were actually routed to roughly 700 human engineers based in India, who manually wrote the code and assembled the apps behind the scenes. This is a textbook example of AI washing, a practice where a company takes manual, offshore human labor and rebrands it as proprietary artificial intelligence to attract massive venture capital valuations. The tech sector actually had early warnings about this. In 2019, a senior executive filed a whistleblower lawsuit, explicitly calling the underlying technology smoke and mirrors. But the promise of automated, frictionless software development was so alluring that the industry collectively ignored the red flags. This technological deception created a fatal business problem. Software scales infinitely at almost zero marginal cost. Human coders do not. By operating a manual dev shop disguised as an AI platform, Builder.ai was secretly burning through cash with terrible profit margins. To keep securing massive funding rounds from giants like Microsoft, the company needed to hide the immense costs of its human labor force. They had to show investors the exponential, high-margin revenue growth of a true software-as-a-service platform. To manufacture that growth, Builder.ai allegedly engaged in a massive round-tripping scheme with an Indian social media startup named Verse Innovation. Round-tripping is a financial trick where two companies pass identical invoices back and forth in a circular loop, padding their accounting ledgers without any real cash actually changing hands. This graph shows exactly how they weaponize that technique. Between 2021 and 2024, the two companies allegedly billed each other $180 million for fake services like AI licensing. This artificially inflated Builder.ai's revenue by up to 300%, creating a false 2024 projection of $220 million. The illusion finally shattered during a 2024 internal audit. The auditors forced the company to restate its numbers, revealing that the true 2024 revenue projection was a fraction of the claim, just $55 million. When the real numbers came to light, the lenders panicked. A key creditor, Viola Credit, immediately triggered a covenant breach and legally seized $37 million directly from Builder.ai's bank accounts. That seizure left the company with only $5 million in cash. They were forced to default immediately on their massive cloud computing debts, including $85 million owed to AWS and $30 million to Microsoft. The financial fraud was the unavoidable consequence of the technological lie. To maintain the valuation of an AI company while paying the overhead of human labor, they had to fake the math. When the bank accounts dried up in May 2025, the immediate human cost was brutal. Hundreds of employees were fired overnight, left with no pay and no clear explanation as the company entered insolvency proceedings. The small businesses that relied on Builder.ai to run their operations lost everything. Their custom apps went dark, their proprietary source code vanished, and the thousands of dollars they invested were permanently erased. Meanwhile, CEO Sachin Dev Dougal managed to secure an emergency $75 million rescue round from existing investors in March 2025, pulling in millions more even as the underlying business was actively falling apart. The institutional blindness here stems directly from the tech industry's fear of missing out. The desperation to dominate the generative AI arms race caused massive corporations like Microsoft and the Qatar Investment Authority to completely bypass basic due diligence. Builder.ai stands as a stark warning for the current investment bubble. When hype is allowed to override basic financial and technical scrutiny, the revolutionary artificial intelligence you are buying might just be 700 human beings hiding behind a curtain.